Hey everyone, I'm actually home today, not in my car. The area that I drive in has been experiencing extreme weather conditions for the last 24 hours. Winds up to 75 miles per hour, extreme rain, tons of trees down, lots of power lines down. At one point last night, over 300,000 customers in my area were without power. And so I didn't want to take a chance of being out on the road today and encounter a bunch of streets and situations that I wouldn't be able to navigate. And so I figured that it was a perfect time to put out a video that I've been wanting to talk about, and that is the quarterly healthcare stipend in California. I know not everyone here that follows my channel drives in California. This information might not be specific to you, but it is valuable information going forward that if your state is able to get some legislation like California has been able to secure with Prop 22, that it could apply to you in the future. But California drivers, I really want you to tune in for these next few minutes because I feel like many of us are leaving money on the table that these gig companies are offering for our healthcare and our healthcare expenses that gig drivers unfortunately aren't taking advantage of. So this came up last week as the fourth quarter of the year was coming to an end. I actually have a great group of drivers that we have a Facebook messenger group that we chat throughout the day about things going on in our area, and then just overall DoorDash situations where we'll get an email or app glitches or, everything across the board that we might be experiencing as a driver, and we're giving each other a heads up about. And I usually always chime in when the quarter is coming to an end about being grateful that it's time to apply for my healthcare stipend. And one of the drivers in this group, who actually has been a gig worker longer than I have, and each week he drives more than I do, reached out to me privately and said, "I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I've been meaning to ask you for months, what is the healthcare stipend?" And I felt extremely sad that unfortunately he may be leaving money on the table from these gig companies every quarter because he hasn't taken advantage of the healthcare stipend. So today I'm going to cover it high level for you, and I will say that I am not an expert in this area. What I'm going to share with you is personal information of what has worked for me. I'm not endorsing Covered California, but I do have coverage through Covered California, and I know there are other marketplaces in California that you can shop for private healthcare coverage. So first, high level, to be able to secure this quarterly stipend from a gig company. And today I'm going to be talking about DoorDash because that is who I primarily drive with. You will need to secure your own healthcare coverage that is not sponsored through an employer. So if you work a W-2 and you have healthcare coverage through your employer, or you have a spouse or another family member that covers you on their employer-sponsored healthcare coverage, then unfortunately the stipend does not apply to you. It only applies to drivers who have private healthcare coverage that you are paying your monthly premiums for. And so for me personally, I shopped on the Covered California website and I secured healthcare coverage through Kaiser. I have a monthly premium that I pay for that healthcare coverage every month. And then I also have copays if I were to go to Kaiser for healthcare needs. Also, anytime I visit the dentist, obviously I'm going to have costs there. And if you see me in my videos, sometimes I wear glasses. So anytime I go to the optometrist, all of these things are what is intended for the healthcare stipend to help offset for drivers. So at the end of every quarter, I receive an email from DoorDash that says it is time for me to submit my information to receive my quarterly healthcare stipend. So everyone hopefully knows that a quarter is 4 months. So since DoorDash is my primary app that I drive for, even though I drive for a few other gigs, my active time with DoorDash is the only one that qualifies me for this healthcare coverage. They send me an email for me to submit information from my healthcare provider showing that I was covered for the entire quarter, and then DoorDash will potentially send me a stipend to offset those costs. I do want to be clear that this is not specific to DoorDash. All gigs in California that you're driving your own vehicle and you're using an app should be offering you this coverage. I do get emails from the other companies talking in general about the healthcare stipend, but since I don't work at least 15 active hours with any of those companies, they don't send me the qualifying email to submit for this quarterly stipend. The parameters for the stipend are the same across the board. Again, I'm just going to talk about DoorDash. So if you work an average of 15 hours a week or more, up to 25 for the entire quarter, so averaging 15 to 25 a week, you are offered a healthcare stipend of $638 currently. If you work 25 or more active hours a week for the quarter, you are offered a $1,275 stipend from your gig company. So for me, again, it's DoorDash. So once I get my email, DoorDash then sends a DocuSign document that you have to initial and attach a report that's easily generated through the Covered California website, and you attach it to the DoorDash DocuSign document and you submit that information back to DoorDash. How do I receive my money? So it actually comes right with my weekly payout after my stipend information has been verified through DoorDash. So for example, January 3rd, I received an email for the quarter ending in December to certify my information. So I sent my documents back to DoorDash on the 5th of January, which was basically a document that I sign and then that report that I generate from Covered California to show that I have a qualifying healthcare plan. Usually the next time I'm paid, sometimes it takes 2 payment cycles. I will see, for me, the $638 as part of my weekly payout from DoorDash. It's not something separate. It's not something that I have to go and get in a different place. It's part of my weekly payout, just like if I were to be getting paid any other week with DoorDash. And these funds are intended to offset your healthcare costs. So I'll just give a quick example. For me, the stipend quarterly is $638. So let's just say that my monthly premium with Kaiser through Covered California is $150. Once I get this, and I'm paying that monthly, once I get this healthcare stipend from DoorDash, it's intended to essentially pay me back or help offset those costs that I've paid for my healthcare coverage. Do I have to track these expenses to either show to Covered California or DoorDash that I'm earmarking this money for these healthcare costs? No, I don't. Currently in California, there is not a system that requires you to document this information. But again, if you do have a qualifying healthcare plan, costs each month that these stipends are intended to offset. I want to be super clear. Even though I'm talking about DoorDash today, if you work for other gigs and you're in California, you should also be receiving this email with the information to submit for this healthcare stipend. And to my understanding, if you work at least 15 active hours with multiple gig companies, you would qualify for the healthcare stipend for those hours with each company. Example, if I worked 17 hours active on average with DoorDash for an entire quarter, and I worked 15 active hours with Uber Eats on average for an entire quarter, I could potentially receive the Health Care Stipend of $638 from both companies. Second example, if you work over 25 active hours with one gig company and 15 active hours with another gig company, on average over the quarter, you could potentially receive 2 stipends from the separate companies. You definitely want to look into that. I don't have direct information about that because, again, I'm part-time and DoorDash is the only gig company that I actually qualify for the stipend. So friends, if you're in California, I implore you to get on your gigs website, search out more information about these topics. Don't leave this money out there. It's intended for you and your healthcare costs. Or if you have more questions, I'm happy to help. I'm not an expert, but I have been doing this since 2020 when Proposition 22 passed in California, and I have been taking advantage of this stipend and getting this payout each quarter. So I probably can answer a few basic questions if you have them for me. But reach out to your gig websites, search for healthcare stipend, find out more information, and make sure that if you haven't done it this next time around, you shop for a qualifying healthcare plan and you make sure that you're not leaving this money on the table. It's there for you. These gig companies are responsible for paying these stipends to help offset your healthcare costs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to be getting back on the road maybe tomorrow. Still a lot of storm situation predicted for my area. It is very unfortunate, but I'm happy so far. Nothing has affected me here in my home, just a lot of nights without power. Right now, I'm back on the grid, so it was time for me to make a video. Stay safe. I hope this video brought you some helpful information. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.